It could be a USB port, it could be an HDMI port, it could be a serial port. Any interface on the device, logical or physical, is an entry point. And from a threat model perspective, we have to look at the threats and how they can take advantage of the entry point. If they get through it, what then can they do? So if you have a USB port that's used to transfer images from your product to a PAC system as an example, that's the normal use case scenario. But the cyber criminal or the attackers are going to figure out a way to abuse that. They'll plug something different in the USB port to try to change the algorithm on your product, for instance. So we have to look at these abuse cases. The second thing is the software bill of materials, the SBOM. The software bill of materials is simply the ingredients that make up your software. Software developers don't always reinvent the wheel. They borrow third-party software, they borrow code from other places, and put it into their software, into your software of the product. So from a transparency perspective, it's important that whoever is purchasing your product knows all the components that make up your product. And these are all the third-party libraries. It's like if you go buy a brand new car, you have a right to know who made the brakes for that car, who made the steering wheel, who makes the transmission. It's the same kind of concept. And this also allows us to track vulnerabilities, because there's been a lot of major flaws and vulnerabilities in medical devices because a third-party component was breached. Like one of them is the bash shell that nobody knew was in their product. So to solve that problem, that's why we have a software bill of materials. So now the manufacturer and the user of the product know what third-party libraries are in that product and know what the true risk is. The third part is a patient safety focused risk methodology. So with medical devices, the thing that is the biggest driver is patient safety. So if I'm able to compromise the device, what harm can I do to the patient? That is the primary lens we look at through. It's not data disclosure, that's important as well. But what's more important is the impact to the patient. If I can compromise an in vitro diagnostic system and cause it to have a delay in its diagnosis, and somebody has sepsis, we know that they could possibly die. If I can compromise a surgical robot that's performing surgery on somebody's spine, cause it to maybe paralyze that person, that's a big problem. So that's the lens we have to look at through with medical devices. And a lot of people try to use a traditional risk methodology, which has likelihood and impact. That is not what the regulatory authorities are looking for. They're looking for exploitability and impact based on impact to the patient. Exploitability is more of a objective measurement versus subjective. I mentioned also that most people don't consider cybersecurity early in the product development. This is another reason the FDA and EU MDR and other organizations kick back the submissions. You have to prove that you're doing secure software development. And from my experience and our experience at Blue Goat Cyber, most, I would say 95% of software developers know nothing about cybersecurity. They'll tell you they do, but they really don't. And that's just, they're different skill sets. Software developers are very good at building functional software. Cybersecurity professionals and ethical hackers are very good at breaking that functional software. So very different skill sets and different lenses we look at through for the same set of software. The other part is third-party penetration testing. This is a mandatory thing that needs to be done. A lot of people try to do internal penetration testing, like the same team that developed the software tests the software. Obviously, that's not a good way of doing things. So you need to have an independent third party do the testing.